Are you quite certain we're in the right place?
What kind of question is that?
An obvious one, of course. We've been walking in circles for a good hour now.
A good hour? You know, you say the most ridiculous things.
Well, it's not like it's been a bad hour. No, I'm firm on it being a good hour since we arrived.
Well, what's the difference to you between a good hour and a bad hour?
Well, time well spent versus, let's see now, doing something dreadful.
Okay, so how is being lost in a cemetery time well spent? You know, I would really hate to hear what you'd consider dreadful.
Well, for one thing, we're not in the same position as our neighbors here.
Yeah, that is an excellent point indeed.
You know, we probably should have checked at the office.
Hmm.
No, honestly, they have a very sophisticated system. They can tell you where everyone's interned.
Well, they're not interned, they're buried. To say these people are interned implies that they were all buried alive, doesn't it?
Okay, I do believe they were all quite remembered by someone who was still alive. Therefore, at the time of their passing, they were interned.
Okay. Well, I should have thought to check before leaving the house this morning, I guess.
Hey, you have the gravesite written down somewhere?
Yeah, I used the mass card as a bookmark some years ago.
Oh, I'm glad I don't borrow books from you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, no bother, except finding a bookmarker in a book that marks a person's grave sort of, leaves you wanting more.
I do wish that you could be more empathetic at a time like this.
On what earth is such a thought not empathic?
You know, I never needed anything more than a landmark before.
You know, they should probably have a GPS system for finding your loved ones after they're gone.
You know, there is such a thing as that. They're called memories.
No, I'm serious. Every tombstone should have a barcode on it.
What? I suggest that you write a letter to the cemetery people then. I'm sure that they could probably milk more money out of death and then they'd be all for it.
Oh, speaking of which, I've been meaning to respond to your latest missive, and it's been sitting on my desk since it arrived.
Don't bother about that now. You're here, and I don't want to read about what you've been doing since the last time we got together anyway.
No, it's a common courtesy. I despise people who can't pick up a pen and drop a line. Instead it's, got your letter in a text or sent via email with a grandiose, hello, got your letter.
It's something that you finally get used to after enough time.
Well, I won't hear of it. I have every intention of responding as soon as I find the time to sit and contemplate a good response.
You know, you would be very alone in that endeavor.
Ah, but you can't write a letter any other way. There's a reason letters with lost addresses end up in dead letter office.
You know, there is an industry built around such things.
An industry based on undeliverable mail?
Well, yeah. Stamp collectors sometimes send letters to fictional addresses in hopes of having the mail sent back to them with markings on them, which for some reason makes the envelopes and stamps worth more money to a collector, I guess.
They get you coming and going, don't they?
Yeah, well, I would have to say that a vast majority of letters that I've sent in my lifetime were people that I sent them to. They might as well be fictional to begin with.
Don't go lumping me in with such impertinence.
No, not at all. My dad would have found you very entertaining.
You know, I wish I'd met your dad. You always make him sound so, very entertaining.
Can't believe I can't find his grave.
Okay, it's a temporary distraction. We will persevere.
He's buried with all his letters, you know.
What's this, you said?
Yeah, that was his final decree. It made for quite a heavy coffin, let me tell you. His letters were like tomes, filled with things he shared with different people on all these different topics.
The funeral people, they went along with such a thing?
Oh no, I waited until they left the room. I had all these bags of his letters stashed in a suitcase that I brought in with me, and after requesting that I had a final moment alone with my dad's body, I emptied the contents right into the box and shut the lid.
Don't they check for things like that?
I don't know, I thought they might, but upon returning I saw that they were asking me all about if I wanted to watch them close the coffin after I'd already done it, and I immediately responded, yeah, please, and they folded up the satin bed ruffles, they put them over the body, and I held my breath to see if they would notice, and no fuss was made, and the letters of Algernon, my dad, are with him now, even in death.
A brilliant story, if I ever heard one.
Well, except for this one. It's my intention to bury this letter with all the others.
What is it? Did you read it? Who's it from?
Well, it's from me. I wrote it. I want my dad to read it.
Okay, I do hope you know the dead can't read.
Oh, don't be such a naysayer. Come on, let's be honest. Most people alive today can't even read. Or perhaps, all right, they can read and they just choose not to. But I heard there was a young boy telling his grandfather one day, "I don't like reading, Papa." His grandfather, who was a writer, I might add, was totally devastated by this. His grandfather had written an entire book dedicated to the boy. It's not so much the grandfather cared who read his books, but that one specific book, that family legacy, that was being ignored.
I'm quite certain it's a phase the boy is going through. There's so much today in competition for a child's attention span. I mean, think of the number of things kids today can do instead of reading. There's virtual reality trips to anywhere they wish to go. You know, there's games they can play with their friends who are, sometimes thousands of miles away. Asking a kid to sit and read a book or even a letter, it's considered torture. So, it's a punishment to a lot of people when getting something they actually have to have the mind to read and understand.
Yeah, well, which is why it's important that I get this letter into my father's grave.
Okay, well, it's my duty as your friend to help make that happen.
And you're not going to judge me on whether this is some whimsical act?
I will not. I will stand by you till we find the rightful place to bury whatever it is you feel needs to be said in that letter.
It's really a disgrace not knowing where someone that you knew your entire life, since inception in my case, is buried. And it's not like saying you and I have known one another our entire lives, which is true in the realm of actuality, but more so relevant when it happens to be a parent who quite literally held you moments after you were born. And now, here I stand, in this place where he currently is, where he's interned, and I forget where he's buried.
You didn't forget. Maybe you've forgotten what landmark to look for. Look, they could have chopped down a tree which you used in your mind to mark his tombstone. For that matter, the tree could have been knocked down during a storm.
Okay, there was a tree, but I never really used it as a marker. It was something else. It was something else.
Okay, so was it another person's grave? As in, next to this person's grave lies the person I'm looking for.
No, why would I bother to remember the person buried next to my father's grave? No.
Sorry, I was thinking about a movie I saw once.
Really? What movie could quite possibly make you think of such a thing?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Clint Eastwood?
Oh, Arch Stanton, yeah.
Yes, what are you saying?
Yeah, well, my dad actually showed me that movie because he loved Clint Eastwood movies.
Well, you saw the movie.
Yeah.
And what's the name on the marker next to Arch Stanton's grave?
Unknown. In the movie, the cemetery was called Sad Hill Cemetery.
All right.
Cementerio de Sad Hill or something. It's in Spanish. The townspeople made this documentary paying homage to the final scene of that movie. They actually built the entire set, and they had the movie played on drive-in movie-sized screens. And actually, Clint Eastwood chimes in with some pleasantries and some memories about his making the film.
Maybe your dad saw that movie.
Oh, no. Doubtful. He was already here by then.
Right. But if dead people can read, they can watch movies.
I knew when I asked you to come with me today that you were the only person who might actually get it.
Of course. Now why don't we split up and we can look for the tombstone? You had them put that on your dad's tombstone? Letters of Algernon in death as in life.
by his request. What he wrote in letters was more important than anything he did or said while he was alive.
I can't believe they let you mark his grave this way.
What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet.
But if people were looking for his grave, to pay their respects, how does the office list it?
Well, he's listed with his name on their records, but the marking on the tombstone is all his own.
Okay, well, I'm glad that we found it. Okay, so now that we found it, seriously, how can someone else find it?
Well, he's buried next to Arch Stanton.
Well, I'll be damned.
My father remained anonymous even in death.
Okay. Can I help? Is there something you want me to, do, or?
Yeah, just hold the letter for me while I dig.
Okay, yeah. Dad,
Yeah, well, it's the only name that he said mattered to him.
can I ask why you put a stamp on the envelope?
Oh, just out of habit, I suppose. Then again, I imagine it may have to go through a process before he actually receives the letter.
Do you think there's a post office in the afterworld?
I'm just making sure it doesn't get returned to sender.
There's no name on the envelope. How would anyone ever trace it back to you?
No, I don't want to take any chances. Here.
Okay. Hey, what's the letter say?
That's between me and my dad.
Absolutely. I don't want to pry.
I probably should have placed the envelope in plastic. I don't want him thinking it's such a mess.
I get envelopes sometimes covered in all sorts of mess. I think he will understand. And it's what's inside that matters.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I knew that you, of all people, would understand.
I wish I thought to tell my father things before he...
Oh, no. He knows. It's all good.
Thank you for saying that. It's also, eternal.
It's not like I actually think that he's in there.
What do you mean? It's the last place that you left him.
Well, the last place I left him. No, he was standing inside a gazebo waving. We had this long conversation that lasted through the night, and he told me things about his life, and I told him things about mine. That was the last time. And I didn't really worry about what I was saying out loud back then.
Is that in the letter?
No, I wanted him to know that my mom is all right. She mentions his name every now and again. I want him to know that he's not forgotten.
I don't even know how to respond to such a gesture.
Well, I also wanted to know how he did it,
Did what? Is there something from his past?
No, nothing like that. I wish I knew how the hell he knew Arch Stanton. I've looked for letters from this guy and everything you can possibly do when searching for someone, and yet, here is my dad buried next to this fictional character from the movie he liked.
Life is strange.
And death even more so.
Or maybe he was a friend.
Or someone who wanted to be buried next to someone unknown.
Well, he was known to you.
Do we really know anyone? Completely, Here today, gone tomorrow in the blink of an eye, right?
Okay, well, let's make sure we don't make that mistake.
When we are born, that we are come to this great stage of fools.
Did your father like Shakespeare?
No, he never knew him in life. Maybe he's talking to him now.
Well, that's a nice thought.
Yeah. I guess we all get to meet one another sooner or later, huh?
Alright, so there you have it. You'll meet again.
I really hope he reads my letter before that happens.
We can only hope the delivery of mail is better over there.
Yeah, over there, yeah. Well, I like that idea at any rate.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that you wish to say or give something to? While we're here.
Oh. Well, there are quite a few well-known people, interned here, now that you mention it.
I think it would be pleasant to maybe choose someone at random, Let them know they're not forgotten.
All right. But how could you say you haven't forgotten somebody that you never met in the first place?
Good point.
Oh.
Good point. Happens on social media all the time. Messages to fallen heroes and wishes from people who never met these people, adding their condolences.
The cyber world being a place where people seem to be living in an alternate universe.
Yeah, I suppose. Sad people looking for a connection they can't find in their lives.
Maybe they're more interned than these buried souls.
For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause.
It's also convoluted, isn't it?
Yeah, such is life.
Indeed. Such is life.